Welcome to NeedlePointers.com's tutorial on how to paper piece, which is also known as foundation piecing. I have been doing quite a few projects that have paper piecing on them, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you how to do it. One of the things about paper piecing is that you can really get very accurate angles and points. Some general information on doing it is that you should use a larger size needle, which is 90-14. You should also use a stitch, which is a smaller in length. It should be about 15 to 18 stitches per inch, and on my machine it would be about a 1.5. And you will be stitching on the printed side of the paper, and what you'll be doing is starting with number 1 and then continuing on 1, 2, 3, 4, right in numeric order. Some of the tools that you might need is a rotary cutter. This is a helpful one, as add a quarter ruler, some paper for the foundation piecing, and a mat. The first thing that you would do is you would print your pattern onto your paper, which I've already done. As you can see, and I've got it here. Now, because of mine, I know that on my pattern, if you noticed that it's colored fabrics on certain ones, so I marked it so that I would know which ones I had to use the colored fabrics and which ones I would use the neutral color. Now, the first thing that you do is you cut a piece of fabric that is going to be able to cover number 1. Okay, the first piece of fabric is put on the back side, and it's facing up. So it's the wrong side of the paper to the wrong side of the fabric. And then I usually, for the first, I pin it to hold it in place. Because I'll be stitching on this line, I pinned it over. And let me mention so that you can see, the ruler has like a little edge here. I don't know if you can see that, but I hope so, right along here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the straight part. I'm going to place my ruler between 1 and 2, right on the line. I'm going to fold it back. Now I'm going to take where the little ledge is on the ruler and put it up against the fold, and then using the rotary cutter I'm going to cut 1/4 inch. That'll be my guide for when I place the next piece of fabric on there. Now my next piece of fabric is going to be a neutral color. Okay, and I'm going to cut it large enough to cover the whole thing, plus you have to always allow for 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the block that you're doing. Now you're going to be putting the fabric right sides together, right on the line that you had cut previously. Now I usually hold it up, and you can see in the light where your next one is, but I usually hold it and just make sure that that's going to cover the whole area. You can pin it if you'd like, but I've been doing quite a few of them, and I just slide it right under my presser foot And then what you're going to do is you're going to stitch, but you're going to start one stitch in the front of the line, and you're going to end one stitch after the line. And you stitch right on the line. You can iron this down right on the seam, or since this is small, I finger press it, or I also have a pressing tool that you can use. It's like a pressing bar that you can use to press it. Okay? Okay, that's number 1, 2. So now we're going to do number 3. We're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to take it, fold it back on that line, place my add a quarter up against the fold in the paper, and cut. Okay, again, I'm going to make sure that it's long enough to cover the entire area. Cut it. Turn it over. Place it along that line. As I said, you can pin it if you want. Make sure that it's long enough to cover. I put my fingers there to make sure it's long enough. Put it under the presser foot. All right, I'm starting again about one stitch before the line. Stitch right on the line, and then about one stitch after. Now when you're doing this and you're cutting the fabric, one of the rules is bigger is better, because sometimes you'll find that it won't cover, so it's better to do it. And as you can see, I'm pressing. And you would continue to do that all along. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you is also, please make sure that when you get to, say, you're doing number 12, you also need to be covering up this 1/4 inch seam allowance that's along the outside, because that's where you would be stitching, okay? So you got to make sure that you cover that, or like when you're here, you would cover along this 1/4 inch seam allowance, where you would be seaming something together. Okay, in my example, so I wanted to show you how I had stitched it all the way around, and how the fabric goes all the way to the end of the 1/4 inch, all the way around. Also, when I am stitching, for instance, here I was stitching, I stitch all the way to the end so it holds in place along that 1/4 inch. Okay, another point that I want to make is that you do not take the paper off until after you've sewn your whole project together. Then you will be just taking this paper and taking it off. That is one of the reasons why you use a shorter stitch, so it'll be easier to take the paper off the back. Okay, I wanted to show you the project that I have finished using the blocks that I just showed you that I was working on. This is a table runner that I made using that, and it is a pattern that's called Floral Wreath, and it's by MH Designs. Another paper piece project that my daughter and I are working on is a Harry Potter quilt, and these are some of the blocks that we have finished that are paper pieced. I hope that you will give a try to paper piecing. It's a lot of fun. Did you enjoy this video? Please like, share, and comment. Subscribe to our channel because we publish new crafting videos on Mondays and Thursdays. On Saturday, we post quick tip videos and we share our personal projects. Also visit our website, needlepointers.com, for sewing how-tos and free sewing projects.